All right, my friends, so if you feel unstable on your board, you might want to consider practicing your stability in all 4 stances. Now, Ronnie Mullen says there's only regular and goofy, but for the sake of this video, we're gonna go with the fakie, regular, switch, and nollie. Okay, so look, check it out. I'm a regular skater. So as a regular skater, this is my dominant stance with my left foot forward. Ollies to demonstrate. Switch is when you switch your dominant foot. Right foot is dominant. Ollie. Right? Nollie is when you're in your dominant stance, but pop with the nose. N for nose, and then ollie, ollie. Nose ollie. Right? And now fakie is with my opposite leg. It's like switch fakie. Oh no, wait, switch nollie. Anyways, this is fakie. Point is, there's 4 different stances that you can practice so that as you improve in all 4, your overall stability improves. Now, some reasons I'm talking about this is, for those of you who are, getting back into skating, and for those of you who are just getting introduced to skating or been skating for a couple months, you might just be stuck in one stance, and maybe even going like rock to fakie kind of thing on ramps, right? Or you're maybe just like kick turning on ramps in one stance. But I want to encourage you to try pushing in your switch stance, right? And kick turning, front side, back side, basically just exploring the different stances and their variations. So just like in your regular stance, there's front side, back side, fakie, and fakie. There's also the switch front side, back side, and nollie back side, front side. So point is, there's always ways to get uncomfortable and explore what it's what it means to improve your overall stability. And I'm talking about overall stability because once you progress from a ollie to a 180 and then maybe even a back 3, you're gonna find yourself in a switch stance, right? If I do 180, this is me on a switch stance or a fakie stance if I land like this, right? So then I could do 180 and then half tap. So that's why, you just practicing switch pushing, riding switch, getting comfortable opening up to the direction you're going. What I mean by that is like my chest is kind of facing the direction I'm going instead of just when I do the 180, I'm closed off. So I want you to practice pushing, not like this where you're standing and you're still kind of defensive to the direction you're going, but instead I want you opened up, making sure you're leaned over the lead foot, because that's what's going to keep you stable. And also just challenge yourself to get lower like you would in your regular stance. When you're in your regular stance, you get low. When you're pushing, if you want to push harder, you get lower. So try to mimic those same postures in all the 4 stances. Now, when you're skating nollie, it's not like you can push like that, but I encourage you to skate, practice little tail raises, maybe nollie front side, nollie back side 180s. Same thing goes with fakie. When you're going fakie, open up a bit, turn half gap, and then practice fakie back side 180s. Regardless, or front side 180s. There's a debate on what's the proper term for that, but basically try these different variations because it challenges you to be stable in all 4. And because as you progress, like I said, doing front 180s, back 3s, and all these different tricks, you begin to, skateboarding introduces you as a default of progression to different stances. Now this gets a bit more complicated as we start skating stairs, ledges, and whatnot. So I'm just gonna quickly talk about how this would how this would benefit you in the long run when you learn how to skate ledges and do different variations. So let's say we're trying to do we're trying to do a fakie back 180 switch 5-0 or back 180 nose grind, whatever you want to call it, and you want to land back to switch, right? Because you've practiced a lot of just switch riding front side and back side, landing switch isn't going to feel unstable, and you're not going to be going backwards where you reduce your stability, and likely it's just going to be a hard time. Instead, because you've already practiced this at a fundamental level with just pushes and turns, you know, you're in a much better position to actually just land, and right away once you figure out that backside 180 nose grind, you know. Now same thing if you're comfortable turning front side switch, if you want to do maybe a backside nose grind front 180 out, because you're so comfortable turning with an open with yourself open to that direction, this motion isn't going to be as difficult as it may be if you never practice switch or you never give time to practicing switch. Same thing with nollie. If you're comfortable going nollie back, nollie front side, which is this way, front, or if you're comfortable doing nollie backside, when you go to do them on the ledge and you try like a nose grind back 180 or a nose grind front 180, it's not going to be so foreign when you land, because as you're doing nollie turns on flat ground, you're comfortable distributing that weight from one leg to the other. What I mean by that, just to clarify, is when I'm going nollie, I'm centered over this foot, but I make sure I'm applying that tension on the back one so it doesn't lift, right? But as I'm turning, the weight, my center goes from my left one to my right. You see? I'm right over from the left, to the right. And that's basically where I'm supposed to be anchored. And those are things you learn, or I would say you pick up on as you practice the different stances. Wait, how good are we on time?
7.
Okay, cool. So, you know, some quick things aside from, you know, doing kick turns and just pushing and all these, and I guess in those two stances, which is regular and switch, some things you can do is just practice all 4 little, you know, mini manuals. So go in your switch stance, just practice lifting the board, right? Lifting the nose. So that's okay to happen. And then same thing with fakie. Just lift, do this. Build that ability to control the manual. Now do nollie, little ones. You're gonna learn how to distribute that you know, that weight and the tension from your legs. Same thing if you're going regular, just do this little manual. Improving the manual. Make sure you're mirroring your regular stance when you're skating switch. You know, yes, you can learn tricks like this, but it's a bit less efficient when it comes to improving stability, because you don't want to be stuck in one direction. You want to be I'm not sure if versatile is the right word. You think versatile is the right word?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not trying to sound too smart. Okay, versatile. You want to be able to access these you know, access this whole range of motion, right? From here to here, instead of only from here to here. If you're just stuck in, like if I'm just stuck in my regular stance in all 4 stances, in my regular posture in all four stances, the way it's gonna look is, you know, me skating regular like this, right? Me skating nollie, and then if I go fakie, I'm still faced this way, and then me skating switch. It looks very similar. That posture shouldn't remain the same. It should be adaptable to each stance. So just an example of how that would look. If I'm skating regular, I can be here, right? If I'm skating nollie, I can be here. And then if I'm skating fakie and switch here, fakie here, right? And this matters because once you start, you know, improving or trying different tricks like fakie flip, fakie backside flip, and all these things, it's going to help you access different ranges of motion, and then you get to decide how you want to leverage those tricks. For example, let's say I'm doing, let's say, fakie backside flip. I don't know if I'm getting the name right because there's all these, let's just say fakie half cab flip. Okay, instead of being like this, right, instead of doing that and kind of being closed off, I want to be able to do this so that I can leverage this, so I can access this sorry, I'm getting like cut off, so I can access this range of motion, and I can better, you know, decide how to position my body, right? So look, instead of doing this, right, which is still doable, you can see like my back goes towards the direction I'm going. Instead, I can do this where I'm opened up a bit more. You think they could tell in the video? Well, opened up a bit more?
Yeah.
What happened?
My nose.
Oh, okay. So, basically what I'm saying is that there's no, I wouldn't say it's like you have to do it this way, but I've found, you know, throughout these 17 years of me skating, maybe 18 now, that it's easier to progress and, you know, explore outside your main bag of tricks when you have access to all this variety as far as your posture goes on the board. Which is why you want to start off slow, just pushing in all these different directions, lifting your board in all these directions, you know, kick turning in all these different directions. Do switch stalls, do switch backside 50, switch frontside 50 if you could on a little quarter pipe. You know, just practice the stance as if you first started to learn skateboarding. You know what I mean? Like when you first started to learn skateboarding, you didn't go for a big quarter pipe, or, you know, most people, you didn't go just for a straight drop in down a quarter pipe. You started just flat, let yourself roll in to the quarter pipe switch, make sure you're over that lead foot, centered yourself over that lead foot, because that's how you're going to anchor yourself. You see, if I'm here, I'm stable over that foot, but if I'm over this back foot, lift it, no longer stable, right? So I can stand on that lead foot right here, but if I'm over that back foot, if this is the lead one, and I take pressure off the right, I'm gonna be a bit more unstable, right? And we're aiming to be to improve our control, our overall control, with by improving the stability in all four stances. And the reason I say that is because it's natural to do that in your regular stance, your dominant stance, whether it's regular or goofy. But when you switch it up, because you might be comfortable leaning only over that lead foot, when I switch it up, you know, the inclination is to be over this back foot, because this one's the one leading the direction, right? You see a lot of people skating switch like that, right? Where my back is facing. And even though it's possible, I've found that once you try to go outside of your bag of tricks and outside of your comfort zone, things become so much more challenging because you don't have access to that variety that you may need to learn new tricks. Does that make sense? So you don't want to get stuck in, you don't want to get limited with your trick selection just because you're so comfortable in one posture, right? So there's 4 different, I would say, now that I'm talking about it, I would say, you know, there's 4 different stances and 2 postures you can access if we want to simplify it. There's the posture where you're leaned over towards your left foot, and then there's the posture where you're opened up over your right side, right? And then everything in between is kind of, it's a spectrum, I guess you would say. And you access that spectrum as you do 180s. You see, like, I'm going switch 180, I'm here over my right side and then over the left side. So you access these 2 postures throughout one trick sometimes, or you access so many other postures when you're doing a back trick, right? Just depends what trick you're doing or what variation you are, because, you know, there's more there's more to skating than just flat ground. So yeah, having said that, I hope that this video encourages you to explore all these different stances and improve your variability with the posture. If let me know what you understood from it in the comments, and if you feel like you can definitely use some guidance when it comes to improving your stability and posture, you know, feel free to send me a message on our DM at profe.carlos, profe.carloss, and we'll go from there. I do lessons online, through the phone, and in person. I stay in the LA area, but I've gone to Oceanside, La Quinta, Fontana, San Bernardino, so I'm all over the place. We definitely can make, you know, something work. But like I said, hopefully you found some value out of this video. Comment what, you know, really stuck and what you still need some more understanding in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.